stand up and say the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Can I get a motion from you guys, somebody, to approve the agenda for today?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I will second.
Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye. Bulls, aye. We have an agenda. The minutes.
3 sets.
3 sets.
Should say I read 3 sets.
I found nothing that needed correcting.
I did
Looks
not
good to
read
me, so can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, all 3 sets.
I'll second the motion.
Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls, aye.
Claims.
I looked through the claims, 11 pages of them.
A lot.
Seemed like a lot.
A big number at the end.
I didn't see anything.
I had a couple of questions on the sheriff's, the badges, the video system, and the IT server. That's just, we're all done spending on those things now?
Can you repeat that?
For the badges,
Like
the video systems?
the physical badges?
Yeah, because there was to Keeks.
Yeah, it was like,
Is that for $1,500? That was for the new guys?
yep,
Okay.
yep, yep.
They made out of what, gold?
They're not cheap.
I don't get that.
What,
Wow.
a couple $100 a piece now?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
And the video systems, that's what was going in the cars and stuff?
yes.
And that,
Is that the 90,000 one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yep.
is that it then, or is there gonna be additional
That's every year.
every year?
Yep, and we budgeted for that.
Okay.
That's basically the in-car cameras, the body cams, and our laptops,
Okay,
and the cradles.
okay. And then the IT server, that was just the moving over to the new system, right?
That I can't comment on. That's something that probably Ben did.
I believe it's more storage.
Just for storage?
Yes.
62 grand?
Yep, yep.
And I believe that's something we take that line out of our budget. Is that one of them that we took out?
Yeah.
That went into his now?
To Ben's.
It's
Ben?
still in their.
It's still for the sheriff's office,
Still for
but-
the sheriff's office, it's still in their budget until July 1.
Yeah.
And
But Ben
money
is-
goes over to IT?
Yeah.
You got it.
But Ben is handling all that.
It says the current server was put in 17. So it's run its time.
Yeah. And then $30,000 of land improvements. Do we know what that was for?
Whose department?
Yeah,
I
what
think it
department?
was conservation.
I don't know if it's finishing up the Wildcat stuff, possibly. Who's the vendor, and I'll look it up.
Was that the
you know what?
trees? That's the trees in Atkins.
Is it the
Oh, the
0030?
tree removal at Atkins?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Is the first floor 0030?
yes.
Yeah, that's that CDBG fund.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
that grant.
Oh, God, okay, that's a
We
good.
get reimbursed for that.
And then the last question I had, dues and memberships, what are we members of?
You guys, we pay,
Dues and memberships for 19 grand.
that could be our ISAC or ECOG. You guys have to pay memberships for different organizations.
Okay.
So what's the vendor on that one?
0040, and I don't know, I went through a bunch of stuff, so I can't remember.
I know, there's a lot.
Yeah. But those are the only questions that I had.
Can I get a motion to approve the claims?
I will make a motion to approve the claims.
I will second the motion.
Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls, aye.
And I don't believe there is any ARPA claims, correct?
Nope, not this run.
Good to leave it on there, so we'll knock that off.
River
Youth Center. You're up next, girl.
There it is.
I put it into a resolution for our,
Okay, would you like to read your proclamation?
Yes, and then you want to read the bottom half? Because in a different county, I started to read it, but then it says, "We the Board of Supervisors," and that's not me, so. All right, so we're here to proclaim April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, whereas sexual assault affects women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds, and whereas in addition to the immediate physical and emotional costs, sexual assault may also have associated consequences of post-traumatic stress disorder, substance abuse, depression, homelessness, eating disorders, and suicide. And whereas sexual assault can be devastating not only to the survivor, but also for the family, friends, and community of the survivor. And whereas since no one person, organization, agency, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, we must work to educate our entire population about what can be done to prevent sexual assault, support survivors and their significant others, and support those agencies providing services to survivors.
Thank you. Now, therefore, be the Board of Supervisors in and for Benton County on behalf of all staff, citizens, in Benton County do hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. In Benton County, Iowa, encourage all citizens to learn more about preventing sexual violence.
Thank you.
I'm gonna change that first to the 8th on that, the date. Bottom. Does it have the first?
Sign this. Okay, we gotta change
Yeah.
that. Yep,
The 8th.
we'll change it. Can I get
Do you want a blank one?
a
Type it in.
motion?
You guys probably went out and signed for your copies.
Yes,
right?
please.
I'll make the motion of the resolution of 25-20, the proclamation declaring April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
I will second.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye?
Vols, aye.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
We just had to do it by resolution for our minutes.
Ready for you.
Just need two
Want your
copies.
sign too?
Okay.
We'll sign yours too. Yours is gonna be dry.
Should we jump up for a picture quick?
You want to?
So you ladies can keep going with your day. Sheriff, Chief Deputy? We'll need you guys- We'll need you guys in this picture.
What are you taking?
Something's going on right now.
You want us to stand up front?
Yep.
Here? Come.
Oh, well, I'm kind of tall, so.
I'm short,
Okay.
so pretty guys.
Stand right here. Don't block anybody.
You want to hold the proclamation?
Oh, proclamation, we'll hold it up or?
You should hold it up.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Okay, okay, there you go.
Is that better?
Yeah. Okay, hopefully one of them's good here.
Photo credit committee, right?
Oh, I got it.
Your original one, this is gonna go ahead.
Thank you. Yep.
And then the next one I have numbered is for Luzerne Fire.
Yes, this is gonna get a CTV.
Replace the 6x6.
It was a full folder, wasn't it, today?
Yes, it will.
We're gonna be getting over there right now for our start meeting.
Oh, nice.
There it is.
Thank you so much.
this is gonna be the Luzerne Fire Department. It's gonna get 10% from the loss funds for Iowa and Leroy Townships for a ATV to fight fires. So can I get a motion for resolution 2521?
I will make a motion to accept resolution 2521 for the Luzerne Fire Department purchase of an ATV. 10%, is that the amount on the bottom, the $1,660?
Yep.
For $1,660.34.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
You wanna sign yours, Ron? Sign
Yep.
mine?
Put mine up here.
I believe we'll have a couple more of these coming through here.
Yes. You're all working on there.
Yep.
Oh.
Initial building.
Pass that down to Bruce.
Yep, thank you. Okay. Discuss and approve sheriff quarterly report.
Yep, I emailed you all those.
Yep, I got it.
A lot of pages in that one if you read the whole thing, but everything looked good. It's been a busy quarter, a lot of money, a lot of activity.
They showed the revenues too.
I like that. The new contracts are gonna start rolling around here, right?
July 1.
That's for every town too? Gotcha. Or we'll be having more coming into. Gotcha.
I did
Okay.
add some more revenue into the budget too for that, to reflect on that.
Okay.
From the last
For
one.
the next
It should,
fiscal year?
yeah.
Got it. Good, good. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report?
I would make the motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report.
Second.
Okay, call for a vote on that one.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
Sheriff, discuss and approve hiring of sheriff office liaison.
Floor's yours, Dave.
So back in December, we had a resolution to hire our in-house law enforcement liaison as the funding was going away for that. We posted it, we got, I don't know, 4 or 5 applications. Shelby Chuckle was hands down the most qualified. That's what she's been doing. It's just a perfect fit for her, so. I believe she starts officially, did we say Monday?
It says effective April 8th, today actually.
Oh, today, okay,
That's what the resolution said.
okay. We can make it today.
Do you guys know what a liaison does?
I was gonna ask that question, what are her duties?
So-
Go ahead.
Or what, if you, go ahead, Ray, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
She goes out with law enforcement on calls, and when it's identified that there's a mental health or substance abuse issue involved, she then steps in, helps to coordinate follow-up care. These people in crisis, she works with them. She has been really essential in a couple adult-dependent situations where we needed quick court action to keep these people safe. She testified for me here a couple weeks ago in a hearing on an adult dependent abuse situation. I mean, what she does is really valuable, so I hope you guys approve this.
Honestly, I don't know how we survived or how we did our job without her before she came along. I mean, it was, if somebody was in a crisis, I mean, we didn't have anybody like that. It was, you either took them to the hospital or you took them to jail. So she's been instrumental in trying to keep people out of jail that don't belong in jail, and also getting people help on the backs, you know, like Ray said, there's been a couple cases here where she's been instrumental in getting the people the help they need.
I believe this is a key position. It's greatly needed in the community and helps.
Where's her office gonna be at?
It's at the sheriff's office.
It is.
Mhm.
Because right now, ain't she with Benton Police?
She was. She's moved out of there. So she's at home where she belongs.
Okay.
So she rides along, I mean, is she like on call as well, just like?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, so.
She doesn't really ride along. She has her own vehicle.
Okay.
Like say a couple deputies go out on a call and say this person's in crisis. We call her up and say, hey Shelby, can you come out and meet us at the scene, talk to this person, see what services you can get this person. Yeah. I mean, it's, like I said, back in the day, it was, we didn't know what to do with these people, so we either took them to jail or took them to the ER, which the ERs are overflowing, you know, and a lot of times these people, they don't belong in jail, you know, so,
They just need help.
yeah.
And this is explain the program, Dave?
So it started out, she was employed by Foundation too. They kind of started this program, the law enforcement liaison, well back in 2019. And it started out as kind of a pilot program. And then I think most departments are kind of going with their own now. They realize that they are an integral part of the process. And like I said, lots of people are hiring their own. Because actually, I think there was a law that was passed that they are not going to be part of the mental health. These liaisons, they need to be hired in-house, I believe.
That's not 100% accurate. It's still undecided.
Okay.
So the May will actually be able to speak to that it's still not decided if the ASOs are paying for law enforcement liaisons.
It's not been declared, there's
Yeah.
been
Well, that's really-
suspicion
So
of not.
it's like even on the HHS's website, it says, May. So, and I think, how many other departments have hired in-house? Just Johnson, right?
Hiawatha.
They fund their own.
Yeah, so.
They've never had regional funding in Hiawatha. Marion also.
So, yeah,
has-
so
yeah.
there's 3 others. Mike, I just have a quick question. So if it's effective today, just for the regional side of things, has Foundation 2 been informed, because we'll have to stop all funding to Foundation 2 for the position?
Yes.
So I
We
just
took
wanted
care
to
of
make
all
sure.
that.
So that way May can communicate with who she needs to in regards to ending funding. Okay,
That's all taken care of.
okay. And then vehicle-wise, because the vehicle that she drives is Foundation 2's vehicle. So do we have a vehicle for her? I'm just making sure, so that way if there's something,
Yep, she's our employee. We got all that taken care of.
okay. That was just my question. I just want to make sure region side, we were covered,
Covered as far as what?
ending funding to Foundation 2. So that way May could do what she needed to do contractually, things like that to,
You were paying Foundation too?
yes. We paid 50% of
Okay.
everything.
Because we,
You guys paid 50%, we paid 50%, and then as of July 1, had everything not switched over, it would have been 75-25. The region would have continued to pay 25% ongoing, but then with the change of everything, obviously the region funding would go away, but yeah, right now we cover 50% of everything for her.
It's all in
To
your
Foundation 2.
budget now.
what's that?
It's in your fiscal year 26
Right.
for the full. You just have to get green.
Which Vinton and Belle Plaine were paying a portion of that
Yes.
also.
Yeah, of that 50%.
Supervisors?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why are you hiring somebody for $72,000 a year plus full benefits when you already have this job already in place and it's not costing us any money as a taxpayer?
It is costing us money as a taxpayer.
Well, it can't be as much as what it is when you're not paying her.
Sorry, what's your name?
I'm not gonna tell you my name. I don't need to tell you my name.
Okay.
But I don't think it's right that we have already got it in place. It's been in place for 3 years or better.
The funding
And
is
now
going
you're
away,
gonna
ma'am. The funding
bring
is
it
going
out
away.
again when it doesn't need to be.
With the change in the mental health system in the state of Iowa, it appears as if the funding is ending for this position.
So now we have to pay for it.
If we wish to continue the position, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the funding went from 28 million to 3 million.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
The funding went from 28 million to 3 million. I'm not sure if you're aware of the whole restructuring that went on.
statewide restructuring of the,
So there's a lot more to this story than it appears on the surface.
and I would assume the wage is comparable to what she's getting now.
It's the same as what she's getting now.
Well, it's the same.
Because are you gonna get reimbursed from the cities too, part of it?
Then why don't you just keep her in that same position?
The funding is going away. She is gonna be in the
Well,
same
then why not?
position. She's gonna be a law enforcement liaison. The only difference is she's gonna be employed by us. So there's no question, is she gonna be around? Is there gonna be funding?
This is it's a county-wide position, so the city of Vinton pays part, the city of Belle Plaine pays part.
Okay.
And then she is a county employee, and then there will be legal agreements that the county attorney's office will make sure are in accordance with everything, so we can continue forward with this program.
All right. I was just wondering because, our taxes just keep getting higher and higher and higher. And you guys got all them lawsuits against you. So I'm just curious why we had to have that.
What's the law? No. I'll refrain.
Do you have any other questions, ma'am?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got the region side covered. I just wanted to make sure on our end that our stuff was covered.
Can I get a motion then on resolution 2521?
22. Because Luzerne was 21, so it's 25, 22.
Oh.
I had different ones ready, I didn't know what order you were gonna go in, so.
Okay.
25, 22.
You got a good one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll use yours.
Okay.
I would make the motion to move forward with resolution 25-22. This is a key position within our county.
What's the breakdown as far as how much the other people will contribute? Do we have a percentage of what they're?
So we sent out a contract proposal to Urbana, Belle Plaine, and Vinton.
Okay.
Vinton, I think currently it was $10,800 annually. And then we went off census population rates. Belle Plaine was not quite half of that. And then Urbana, a certain percentage, based on population size. Now, come July 1, she's going to be a non-union member, so if she gets a 3% rate increase, this contract renews, and every city will actually go up every year
Okay.
in how much they will pay.
So some of this salary is gonna be offset by
Yes.
Correct.
other communities. Okay.
So I understand 72,000 seems like a lot, but we are getting a portion from Vinton, Belle Plaine, and Urbana when they have a PD. Right now, they do not. we're trying to be self-sustained with this mental health stuff. This region, all this region money, all this is in flux with restructure. And we just got a bill for, I think, $41,500, paying the 50-50 split, and that's gonna go up to 75%.
So basically, it's pretty much a wash.
Correct.
It's gonna be a wash. And now we can have our own internal person in-house to handle these
You
things.
don't have to share with any.
I mean, she was kind of on a different schedule. They had a different holiday schedule. I mean, it just makes sense to have her as our own employee. You know, like I said, her office is here. I mean, it's just basically getting rid of the middleman is what it's doing.
And we were spending the money anyway.
Exactly. And like I said, Foundation 2 was just the middleman.
Okay. Well, based on the updated information, I will second the motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
Ray, I'm sorry we got behind here.
I'm fine.
Do you never?
You wanna do this now?
Yep.
All right, late last summer, I was contacted by Floyd County, who asked if we would consider taking on, their collection duties. They were under contract to another county, and they didn't feel they were being treated, like they should be. Still growing Dubuque and whatnot. Well, they again contacted me last month and said, you know, where do we stand? So I sent them a contract, their board signed it. They've already given notice that they are leaving this other county and joining us, which I was a little surprised to hear that, but, I know, Tracy, you've been concerned a little bit about taking on more. This is a county of a population of 15,600, so it's small. So in terms of overall workload, I project it to be about a 5 to 7% increase based on the numbers that we have from the past. One of the real benefits of taking on this contract is everything's already in place, up and running. We don't have to start from scratch. So in a sense, it would be different than going out and getting a county who'd never collected before. I asked all the ladies from collections to come because I want you to ask them any questions that you may have, and we've talked about it, and they want to do this. They feel that they can handle it, and they're excited to take it on, and so here we are. I think this will generate, based on the numbers they've had in the past, around 22 to 25,000 for us in terms of our share, what we would collect. That's our target goal, to bring that in the next, first calendar year. Obviously, as we go, we'll grow that, but that's my estimate, what it will bring for us on top of everything else we do.
So the contract I kind of read, can you put it in farmer's language?
Yeah,
It's first 50,000 they get, right?
no,
No?
no.
Good, explain it to me.
In order to sustain, see, the state originally collected all fines and court costs and things. So the counties entered into an agreement with the state, whereas we could collect our own funds. And that agreement said, okay, fine, if we're gonna let you do it, you have to meet a threshold amount every year. So in this case, with Floyd County, we have to bring in $50,000 total collections every year, or the state gets the contract back. So that's that 50,000 number.
Okay.
What the percentages are is the state allows whoever's collecting to receive 28% of that first 50,000, and then after that first 50,000, it goes up another 5%. And our contract calls for us to split everything we bring in equally. So if we generate, 150,000 next year, then our share will be half of that first 50,000 revenue, and then 16.5%. Let me go back. We'll get half of the money generated, and then it'll go up, the half will go up to 16.5% instead of 14%. So we'll get 14% of the first 50,000, and then 16.5% of everything else after that. So I'm thinking we'll collect hopefully 150,000 for the first year. So our percentages will be, low 20, or outcome will be low 20, low to mid 20s.
So on the collection, dear, the crystal ball again, a year down the road, who has to report this to the state that how much you raised? Does Benton County do that? Or
No,
does the employee do
they know automatically, because when the money is all collected, it goes to them first, and then they cut us a check for what we did. So essentially, they tell us how much we collected. We don't always agree with them, do we, Deb?
No.
So, yeah,
Maybe I can help out a little bit here. So when we start collecting from day one, everything we collect goes toward threshold and non-threshold amounts. 72% goes to the state, 28% of just the threshold comes to Benton County. In this case, it would be half of the 28 because we're dividing it, so 14% would come to Benton County. Once we meet the $50,000 threshold, that's when the state drops from 72 to 68%, and then the 5% comes into the county attorney's budget. But it would be half of that, it'd be 2.5, because the 5% gets divided.
and that's where the county attorney incentive fund comes from, is that extra 2.5% that we get.
So, but the state is the one that determines all this. The state, in their wisdom, changed everything last November, right at Thanksgiving, redid all the codes, and so everything has kind of gotten thrown up. We've had to learn new codes. We've had to learn what does and does not go to threshold, because we keep track, because I've had to argue with the state before. Anyway, that's the percentages. It's 72 and 28. The 28's divided until we meet that 50,000 threshold. Then they drop 5%. We get 5% divided between the two counties for the county attorney. Does that make it any easier?
It does, it does.
When she talks about non-threshold money, that's like restitution where it all has to be paid to the victim. You can't take a share of that. So that doesn't get counted towards our 50,000 when we do restitution.
I guess that's one thing I did not know, that, I guess you'd call them clients or whatever, they pay the state, they don't pay Benton County.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, I did not know that.
I did bring numbers if you'd like to see. I brought the state report from last year and to date, to the end of March this year.
Okay.
So if you'd like that.
Sure. So this won't really incur any additional expenses as far as
No.
the department goes?
No. One thing that we've been doing a lot of, which I don't think other counties are doing, we're doing a tremendous amount of garnishments, which has really, really bumped up our numbers.
You did not do it because they don't want to mess with it, or they don't know they can, or?
Well, it's a complicated process, so yeah, it takes a lot of time, but once you get them up and running, it's guaranteed money until it's paid off, because it comes from the employer, not them.
Because there's not like a set program of how to collect, so every county does it differently, basically.
But Deb has developed over the years a system that allows us both to use garnishments, wage assignments, just straight up phone calls where you take money from a credit card. And we collect a lot of different ways. They can go to the clerk, once we have a payment plan in place, if they go to the clerk and pay the clerk directly, we still get credit for it. So we just got to get the case set up, get it moving, and then, monitor it.
I think the biggest challenge was Dubuque. We started from zero.
Yeah, we had nothing and no plant-based, nothing. And last year, our total collections were 397,000 for the whole year, and we're already past 540 for the year this year, so we're,
But that's not all in the counties.
no, that's the total gross collections. So,
The report I gave you just indicates this 72, 28, and 5%.
yeah, our hope is to get to 600,000 in Dubuque. So our, our share with that would be 80, 90,000 at least.
And is Tama County gonna stay with you?
I haven't heard anything saying they're not. And
Okay.
I know there was some concern over there that they could do it themselves cheaper, but I don't think they can. They have to go
Okay.
hire somebody.
The deadline to know that is May 1st.
Yeah, we'll know that soon if they are.
Okay. And then the last column here, of the big dollars, that's the total amount
The
that
total
you,
for that line.
okay, and then we can do the math on that, 28%, that's what you're actually keeping.
We're
For
splitting
the other
that.
counties, it's 14%.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
half.
for Benton County, we get the whole thing. We get
Yeah.
28 for out of the first 50, then we get 33 from there on, so.
Okay. All right.
It's an overly complicated contract that they've set up, but, you know, we don't have a choice.
But I see somebody's got it set up so they get the lion's share.
They do.
Yeah.
You do the work, but, okay.
But at least Benton's getting something out of
Yeah.
it.
Getting something out of
You
it.
know, otherwise it all goes to the state.
I mean, the office, our share of what we generate, this year's gonna be, it's gonna be over 300,000, right in that area, what this office will bring into Benton County.
Okay.
So that would be into your Department 4, and then also the incentive fund, correct?
Right.
If I look at the revenues, that should add up to that?
Should,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I'm estimating, because we're not to the end of the year yet, but
Collections Department, you're confident with this moving forward? It's not gonna be,
I think,
the addition won't be too much?
I don't think so. I think the ladies can handle it. And we took on Dubuque. That was amazing to me.
That's a big one.
It was.
it's worked out well, so.
All right, gentlemen.
I would make a motion to approve the collections contract with Floyd County.
I will second the motion.
I will call for a vote.
Tippit, aye?
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
And that was number 25, 23. You probably want them to sign the 28E separate, right, so you can get
Yeah.
that filed?
Yeah, I gotta get that filed with the state and get it back to.
So I have both, if you guys want. And I notarize your signature, Tracy. Give me that one.
We need all signatures, or just Tracy?
We need all on the resolution, but on the 2080, it's just Tracy.
Just Tracy, okay.
That's number 2.
You only need one 28E signed, or you need
Right.
two?
Just one.
Okay. And you have the resolution then?
Yep, it should all be in your
Okay.
packet. If not, I have no.
I'll hand that over to you. Please, girl.
I've got it shuffled in
Yeah, just
somewhere.
that front, because that back is just attached 2080.
Okay.
Tracy, I gotta notarize that.
Okay, you're right, you're right.
Yeah.
That was my mistake. I did see that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, County Attorney's
Thanks for
Office.
coming in, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Here, Ray, you want this real quick,
I'll
Angie?
grab it.
Okay. Well,
One, right?
May. Thank you.
just wait
Did you include this in the packet?
Yes.
a minute. Yes, I did a while back.
Great, okay, yeah. So, good morning. I don't know that there's anything today that I'm gonna tell you that is maybe a surprise, but I wanted to have the opportunity to discuss it in your public meeting with you. So, as you likely know, right, the East Central Region was not selected as the Administrative Services Organization. I think the last time that I was here was before you were in office. We were applying to be the Administrative Services Organization for District 7. And in December, the state announced, HHS announced that they had selected a private nonprofit in Des Moines who will do the entire state. So they will be the Administrative Services Organization for behavioral health. So here we're talking about mental health and substance use services. So the Administrative Services Organization that was selected will do that for the entire state of Iowa. There were no regions that were selected. All of us had applied, but no regions were selected. So in January then, we were operating with the principle that we as a region would cease to exist on June 30th. We actually do cease to exist as a region on June 30th because the code, Iowa Administrative Code 441225C, sunsets on June 30th of this year. So our authority as an MHDS region, no matter what, whether we had been selected as ASO or not, right, the code still sunsets. So our authority as an MHDS region ends, no matter what, on June 30th. So there are two processes that happened in the fall. The first was the proposal, the application to be the Administrative Services Organization. The other was a proposal to be what is called the Disability Access Point. So HHS has essentially split the work of an MHDS region into two areas. Behavioral health, in which there's an Administrative Services Organization that's responsible for that, and then disability services. And so there was an RFP process for a Disability Access Point. We found out that we were not selected as the Administrative Services Organization on December 13th. And December 20th, our Disability Access Point proposal was due. So that was a tough week. Pretty broken heart, and we had to dig pretty deep that last week, and we submitted the application to be the Disability Access Point on December 20th. That news was slated to be announced on February 21st of this year. So in January, we reevaluated the region's priority initiatives. So every year we do the priority initiatives. I share them with you every year. The priority initiatives that the Regional Governing Board had approved last May had one in there that said, on December 31st, we'll reevaluate as necessary. And it was sort of tongue-in-cheek, because we were really hoping we'd be the ASO. Well, then when we found out we were not the ASO, we needed to reprioritize. And so we looked at our priorities, and I took to the Regional Governing Board in January the revised priorities that you see. I think we had 13 in our original list for FY25. Again, a lot of it focused on becoming the Administrative Services Organization. So the things that we reprioritized for ourselves, that we will support the transition to the statewide behavioral health system. There's always for us that the priority for the people who need services get services. And even though it's not going to be us who will be responsible for behavioral health, that doesn't mean we don't still want to make sure that services are accessible to people. So we are committed to being a good transition partner with HHS, with the selected ASO, to ensure that people get services, right? When the lights go out on the region on June 30th, on July 1st, when the ASO takes over, then people still get services, providers still get paid. The second priority is that we will still maintain our highest level of commitment and integrity to administering the system. We are still a region. You know, for 3 more months, we are still a region and we have work to do. Not just the transition part, but people still need services today. And so we want to make sure that we deliver the services and pay, you know, the providers, and that we ensure that people have access to services the same level of commitment that we've had for the last 10 years as a Region 11. The next one will ensure that people served, the staff, our board members, and external partners receive information as the transition happens. There's been a lot of uncertainty for a year. You know, I think that this is maybe the third time that I've been with you since the governor announced her plan to realign the MHDS system. And I think every time I come, I say, well, the answers aren't all still here. We don't know all of the answers. And that's created a lot of fear, that's created a lot of anxiety and speculation. So we're committed to doing as much as we can to get the information out there. I do a weekly update to the board. Supervisor Tippett receives that. I don't know if he shares it with the other of you.
I should.
Yeah, it does. Some board members do, some don't. It's all up to you guys, but I do a weekly update to the board. We do a bi-weekly update to all of our staff. Monthly, because we're super clever like this, we do a Q&A with May. So that our staff have 30 minutes with me to ask me any questions. I usually don't come with much of an agenda, because I know that I'm the one who's communicating with HHS, and you know, I'm the one who's getting a lot of the information, and I want to make sure our staff receive it as well. We're communicating with our providers. The media has been asking for my opinion a lot lately, so just making sure that we get the information out there about the transition. The next one is our regional staff well-being and occupational changes will be supported. So when we passed these in January, we were under the impression that all 34 of our staff would need to have a new job as of June 30th. I knew right away that very first weekend, by December 15th, right? The news came out on December 13th. By the 15th, I had a plan. There are systems that are being put into place to take care of the people who need services and our providers. There's no system being put into place externally, like from a statewide level, to take care of our staff. And our 34 staff mean a lot to me. So on Monday, the news came out on Friday. On Monday, I had a contract with Abbey Center for Community Mental Health for all of our staff to receive what we call mental well-being sessions. We had started these sessions with Abbey Health during the pandemic with CARES Act funds. It's not counseling, it's not diagnostic, it's not treatment, but it's supportive processing of the transition. So all of our staff are eligible for up to 5 mental well-being sessions with a licensed counselor from Abbey Health. Abbey Health doesn't put it in their EHR, it's not billed to their insurance. The region is paying for that for our staff who want to take advantage of it. We also brought to the Regional Governing Board in January, which you know about, the retention plan. The retention plan, that was really difficult for me to kind of find a really nice balance with that, because I want our people who need to move on. And I want them to take jobs that ignite their passion, right? And the reason that all of us came into human services in the first place, because we want to care for people. But on the other hand, I still have an obligation to be a region until June 30th, and so I need people. And so people, you know, are looking for jobs and accepting jobs, but we need to pay the bills and do all of those things until June 30th. So that amount that we set in that retention plan was enough to be grateful for the people who stay. It wasn't really enough to convince anybody to turn down a job, but, you know, just gratitude for those who stay to help us to finish out the work. We had a session because we are county employees. I had one staff the week after the news came out look at me and say, I've not completed a job application since 1997. Right? I mean, we have dedicated, committed staff. This has been 30 years of a county-run system in Iowa, and people who have been here almost that long. And so we have a lot of people who are close to, but maybe not quite yet at, their IBERS retirement. So we had a representative from IPERS meet with all of our staff, just to let people know, like, these are your options, and this is what it looks like for you. We also had a representative from Iowa Workforce Development do an hour-long, I think it ended up being about an hour and a half, with our staff about unemployment. If you have to file for unemployment, what does this look like for you? What are your rights and your obligations to apply for unemployment? We also had Dr. Selena Perman, who we have a contract with anyway. She's an HR professional out of Waverly. She brought 3 of her colleagues, and they did a day-long training for all of our staff on resume writing, interview assistance, how to seek jobs, because we have people who haven't looked for jobs for over 25 years. And resumes have changed in the last 25 years. So Selena and her group came, and she'll do one-on-one help with people too, to help them to develop their resumes. And we're just trying to set that situation up for our staff to make a transition in a way that is not, it's heart-wrenching anyway, but to make the transition in a way that feels just a little bit more smoothly as far as their life choices and their financial stability as they move forward.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm just gonna interrupt you. I'll go in a minute.
All right, she'll come back to it. This has been hard, right? I mean, these last 4 months now have been super hard. Lastly, that we say we'll develop an internal transition plan. We wrote this before HHS required. We had to submit a transition plan to them. It was due April 1st. So last week, 2 weeks ago, the regional governing board meeting, they approved our transition plan to the state. Some of that okay, let me start over with this. You all know that we won't have all of our FY25 bills on June 30th, when the region ceases to exist, MHDS region. I'm gonna talk about disability access point after I'm done with all of this. The MHDS region ceases to exist on June 30th. We won't have all of our bills. We will receive bills July, August, September, right, the accruals. Initially, we didn't know what was gonna happen with those accruals. Was HHS gonna pay it? Was the ASO gonna pay those bills? The law says that at the end of the closeout of the MHDS region, we have to write a check of whatever is left in our regional fund and send it to the State Behavioral Health Fund. And so we didn't know if we were gonna write that check on June 30th and someone else was gonna take care of those FY25 accruals, or were we gonna do that, what was gonna happen? So HHS finally let us know that they expected us to pay those bills. And we said, well, we hope that you allow us to pay some staff to do that, because nobody's gonna work for free past June 30th. And so they said yes, that we could plan for staffing costs. They allowed a closeout period of July 1st until December 31st. All the bills have to be taken care of. That final check written to the State Behavioral Health Fund has to be done by December 31st. So regions were required to submit a closeout plan. We could use the time period until December 1st, but we didn't have to take that long. Some regions who are much smaller than us aren't taking the full 6 months. The East Central region is the largest region in the state. We have a lot of bills that come in and just a lot of moving parts. And so we did submit that our transition plan will go through, our closeout plan will go through December 31st. Deb Gard, our finance coordinator, and I went through typical accruals for the past 5 years. How much per line item do we usually pay an accrual in the last 5 years? And so we looked at that, we did some averaging, we're like, oh, that year there was something, it was like a special project that year. So we did our best guess of what we think that we will have to pay July, August, and September. That amount equaled about $3.5 million. It was about $3.5 million that we usually pay in accruals for the period from July to September. Then we looked at, okay, what is it gonna take for us to process those? We can't authorize any new payments. We can't do any service coordination past June 30th. We can only pay the bills. And so we estimated 2 staff to stay for July and half of August. I'm saying half of August because one of them who's staying to process bills is going to work for a school district mid-August. So we know she's with us July until mid-August. The other one all the way through August. And then the one who's staying all the way through August through September, for still some bills that come in September. Deb Guard staying the whole time, our finance coordinator. And Deb will ensure that all of the final claims are processed. The final reconciliation to the counties for your payments will be processed, and that payment to the state will go on December 31st, on or before December 31st. So Deb will close all that out. She'll be our only person left, so to speak, in November and December. So that was about, we also put in, estimations for our ICAP for our liability insurance. We still have to pay that during that time. A little bit for our attorney, in case we need attorney assistance during that time, and the fiscal agency with Johnson County, because they still have to pay those bills. They charge us for that, that's customary. So that was another $400,000. So we were just at right around $4 million for what we think will take to close out the region. That has been submitted to the state. Deb has answered a couple of questions. I just saw this morning on my way here that she answered another question to the state about how we'll do all that. So waiting for final approval on that closeout plan. Some things that are relevant that we need to talk about with Benton County. Because Benton County, the region itself will cease to exist. Benton County moves into District 6 in the new map. So, a couple of things, first of all, regarding behavioral health services. Costs for people's commitment are still the responsibility of the county. However, mental health commitments will still be reimbursed to the county. So right now, if a person is committed under Chapter 229, you have your sheriff's transportation and you have your attorney's fees. You have your mental health advocate fees, right? Sheriff's fees and attorney fees to represent the person right now, you guys don't see them. They just come straight to us at the region and we pay them on behalf of Benton County. In this future state, HHS has been back and forth on this. I think right now the answer is, it could change again, but right now the answer is the attorneys and the sheriffs will be able to bill directly to the ASO. Right now, that is the guidance. For your mental health advocate, you will have to, it's going to be a pay and chase situation. So you will pay your mental health advocate and then you will bill the ASO at the end of the quarter, I think is where they're leaning. I don't think it's monthly. You will pay for the mental health advocate and then you'll have to bill the ASO. And I think it's at the end of a quarter. I'm not sure the final rule on that. It might be monthly that you can bill. So my advice to counties is, and I'm sure that you've already done it, but you need to make sure that you have money in your budget at least to cover the first quarter. Just pay, because it's pay and chase. MHDS rate, you guys have done pay and chase anyway. Other counties, the region has paid up front. I mean, you guys have done the pay and chase, so you're used to that anyway. So just know that that will shift from the region to the Administrative Services Organization. As you know, I mean, we've had expectations of the advocate. It's not on the agenda today, but I can come back and talk about that if you like. The ASO is indicating that they will have likely different expectations. Could be more as far as the documentation. The reporting, this is what I'm hearing, grapevine, is the reporting might be more. So keep an eye on that, of what's going to happen with that. Other things. We as a region don't own any real property as far as land, buildings. We do own property. We don't own property. You own property. Vehicles, computers, desks. All of that property has been purchased by Benton County, paid for by the region. The vehicles? 3. We have 3. 3 vehicles, I thought we only had 2.
One's the hubs.
Oh, one's the hub. Those are titled in Benton County, but they were paid for by the region. It's in our 2080 agreement that the regional governing board can choose how to disperse that property when the 2080 terminates or is amended. So now let's switch to disability access point. We were supposed to find out about disability access point on February 21st. On February 25th, 4 days of 7 only. I think the last time I was here, I told you that we were applying for the whole statewide. We were selected for just District 7 only, which means 14 counties. Again, Benton County is in District 6. Benton County is, in District 6, is assigned to Central Iowa Community Services. Central Iowa Community Services was assigned 3 districts, District 2, District 3, and District 6. So that's 44 counties. It's a very large area, but still 3 distinct districts. Interestingly, they still, the combination of population-wise are still 3rd highest in population. District 7 has the biggest population. District 5, which is like Polk County, all the way down to the Missouri border. District 7 has a little over 1 million people. District 5 has 924. And those 3 districts in which you will be included in that is like 700 and something, 775-ish. Doesn't matter, really, as far as services go. A little bit more centralized, right? So 4 MHDS regions were assigned for the 7 the 7 disability districts. So we're trying to figure out now, we have to do a transition to still close out MHDS region, stand up the services of DAP, Disability Access Point. I'd like to clarify something that the sheriff said. The funding for MHDS of the East Central region will change from a budget of $28 million to $3 million. But that's not apples to apples, and you have to understand that. There is the same pool of money. There's no reduction in the state for behavioral health and disability services, right? It's a standing approach. No money changed. The $25 million that we're losing goes to the ASO. The money is still there. So even though we at MHDS of the East Central Region will only be responsible for a little over, it's almost $4 million, that doesn't mean that there's less money to support services in Iowa. And I want to be really clear about that. Because people, when I say those numbers, because I've said those numbers, 28 million to 3 million, for context about, as a disability access point, we will no longer be administering a system. We will be providing service coordination, that's it.
Not paying for the service itself.
We will pay for short-term services. 90 days worth of a very small list. The list is about this big of services. Our total payment, MHDS of the East Central Region, will be under $500,000 for the entire year. Right now, we do claims in the amount of about $2 million a month. But that doesn't mean that that money's not available. It's just available to the ASO, right? And it'll be paid there. So I don't want people to think that money's going away. Our scope changes. Because our scope changes, our budget will be much, much lower. The ASO has a contract for all of mental health and substance use appropriations and federal dollars from state appropriation, federal block grant dollars. That's going to the ASO. So the question about did the funding go away for the liaison, the law enforcement liaison? Contract with the MHDS of the East Central Region for all the sheriff's departments ends June 30th. Will the ASO pay it? Don't know yet. I've heard yes, I've heard no. Nobody's come out with the final. I will tell you that I've heard that if counties bring it in-house, the ASO will not pay it. So you might have had an opportunity with Foundation 2, if you had kept the agreement with Foundation 2 for some of that to be reimbursed. I don't believe you will, now that you've brought it in-house. I just want to be clear, so everybody understands what's happened here. I was not consulted at all. I mean, I heard about it through Mona, and I wasn't consulted at all. I would have given that advice had I been asked. So
this is, hopefully I can keep it together, because clearly Michelle left. So all the things that we have put together for our staff, Michelle has historically been considered region, but she's not. She's a provider. So all of these things that have been put in place to support staff, Michelle has not been able to access any of that. And to have people sit and, I'm not saying that the liaison position is not vital. It is. But to give Michelle absolutely no credit for anything that she has done in the last 3 years in terms of crisis services and in terms of jail diversion, any of that is so disappointing. And Bruce, you just got here. Tracy, you're always, Ron, I'm very disappointed in you that you gave that program and Michelle zero credit towards anything. That was your baby. And you sat silent and said nothing to support that girl who has given her heart and soul to that program. And you sat silent and said nothing while she loses her job and it gets given to a non-county employee, and she didn't even bother to apply because she didn't want one final slap in the face that she doesn't matter. So that's all I want to say.
I don't know, I doubt that you've heard from the ASO about the hub. We were required to send all of our contracts to HHS in January. They were due February 5th or something like that. We had them in way before that. So we sent all of our contracts in. It was included in the contract. I have no idea if the ASO will continue funding for the Access Hub. I would assume not. There are people right now who are having a lot of anxiety about the access centers because we have funded, regions have funded the sustainability piece of the access centers. They are not, maybe someday, and we all hope so, but right now they're not self-sustaining with their revenue. And so we, the region, our 2 access centers, we've spent $3.5 million a year in sustainability funds for those access centers. And I personally, this is just May's opinion, it's not the opinion of HHS or the ASO, think that crisis services will be addressed. But to what level, I don't know. So I don't know what your plan is for the hub, but
They've decided not to
okay.
fund it financial.
Yeah. And it's, it has been a great asset here in Benton County. And Michelle has withstood a lot. It's been 3 years.
3 years, July 1st.
Feels like 2, so it's been 3 years.
And
she's
she
really
took
done a great job.
a different position, and it went to part-time because of everything that's going on and the uncertainty, and is she going to, is she not going to, where is it going to be? And so, and I know there's, she's not been consistent. Well, she's very disheartened that it feels like she doesn't matter, that no matter how much she tries to collaborate, no matter how much she tries to do whatever, it doesn't matter. So why continue to give your heart and soul to people who don't care? And that's where she's left with. That girl is broken because of what this county did to her. And she still shows up, and she puts a smile on, and she goes. But this county broke her with what they did with that program. So I'll shut up now, Mike. Go ahead.
So back to property. In our closeout plan, we were required to talk about, were we going to liquidate the property? Were we going to transfer the property? I don't have any intention of liquidating the property because everything is technically owned by the counties. And you all have your own processes for having like a sale. And I can't dictate that, right? And so we intend to transfer all property. So what we're doing now is we're doing an inventory of all of our property, all of the computers and the vehicles, and determining what we think we need for the disability access point, for us to move forward as the disability access point. When we have that list and that's approved by the regional governing board, then we may request that that property come to the disability access point because the region paid for it in the first place. We might say, county, here you go. Okay. I have a committee who's working on that. I don't know. I know we have the list of all of the property right now. I don't believe we've gone through and started the prioritization of what we think we need for the disability access point. Do you have any thoughts on that? This, to me, feels like it could be, I don't want it to be a contentious issue at all. As I've gone to all of our counties, I've said, and I really mean this, you all have been great partners to the region. And there's nothing that we want to do here that doesn't value that partnership and keep a good faith effort. We know that you have a risk right now for unemployment, right? Because there will be, moving forward as a disability access point, $3.7 million. 3 of that-ish we have for staffing. Right now as a region, my staffing budget is a little over 5 million, right? So that tells us not everybody will have a job. Some people are already leaving, right? Some people will stay. Deb and I are working on that budget right now, but not everyone will have a job. If we have employees in any of our counties that get laid off or terminated at the end of June, right, they might seek unemployment. So Deb and I did an estimation of that unemployment risk, and we put that into our transition budget too. We want to take care of the counties. We don't want to, your employee wages have always been reimbursed by the region. We want to continue that as well. So in case there's any unemployment, we hope that we estimated well enough to be able to support you in that. A person may only, you guys know this, draw unemployment for 16 weeks, but we can only pay until December 31st. So if somebody waits until November to file unemployment, we might have a problem. For this reason, that I want to avoid unemployment, I want to avoid any liability to the counties. That's why I've been doing all the other things to help people to find jobs and to brush up on their interviewing skills and to be able to seek positions. And so we're not only for the people, and that's good for them, but also to minimize your risk for unemployment. I think I might be done. What questions do you have? There's a lot.
I got a lot of questions, but, and I've talked to you about it before, we don't have answers, so. And we are working to facilitate a smooth transfer to the ASO, correct?
Oh, we are.
No, you had a very specific, when you, at a meeting, that was one of your goals.
Oh, for sure, yeah. We've already met with the ASO once.
We support you in that.
Thank you, yep. So we have not received a lot of requests from them yet, as far as like transferring information about people. You know, that they have, HHS just received a big data pull from CSN. So all of the information, right? HHS, when I met with them on Friday for the disability access point, still had not even like processed it. So I don't believe the ASO has received that information yet either. When that happens and they have questions for us about people who have more complex needs, then we will meet with them and we will ensure that they know what they need to know.
So this is one thing that you and I did not talk about. Moving forward. So we don't know, we're in District 6, which is gonna be combined 2 and 3, so there's 44 counties. So we're not gonna have, or do we know, are we gonna have a Mona? If something, we have a question for the district, are we gonna have a local person anymore? We
I don't know the answer to that. I think that,
That's what I was
yeah.
assuming.
Yep. I don't know that CICS has determined their physical locations, but I'm gonna tell you, CICS's budget is, ours is 3.7, I think theirs is 4.2.
Ooh.
So it's not, the funding formula was not per capita based, like the, you know, our regional funding has been per capita. The number of people in your region times this many dollars is how much money you get. The disability access point funding was not factored by that, and it was factored by need. So on the one hand, CICS has 775,000 compared to our 1 million, but they get, it's not 4.2. I think it's maybe 4.1. They get about 400,000 more than we do. And it was more based on need, I think, because they have some counties in the way southern part of Iowa, the HHS through
Call them like red counties. Basically,
The red counties.
there's more
Yeah.
need there,
Yeah.
and that's how they kind of
they called it a
based.
suitability scale, but I
Yeah.
don't know the math that went into it. They haven't disclosed to that. Anyway, there were more need in those counties, and so I think that's why CICS's funding is a little bit bigger than ours. But with $4.1 million in 44 counties, even for us, 14 counties, we won't be able to have a fiscal office in every county.
So it's highly unlikely that there will be a local me, a local Sarah. I mean, there will be coverage. I mean, there will be someone who covers the county, but just simply because of the monetary things, it's highly unlikely that it's going to be somebody who's here 5 days a week that you can just walk into. I mean, there will be somebody who covers the county. I mean,
Right.
that's an absolute, but just, because, yeah, just money-wise, 14 counties, 44, I mean, there's no way to have somebody in every county, every day.
And this is supposed to be better?
Absolutely, Tracy, yes, it's supposed to be better.
They won't have.
Why did they decide to look at this in the first place? I mean, what drove it?
Great question. First of all, we were 100% behind the concept of combining mental health and substance use care. I think it's the right thing to do. As the East Central region, it had been one of our top 2 legislative priorities for the previous 2 years before the governor announced it, because people who experience mental health issues often have substance use issues and vice versa, right? And so right now, until 225C sunsets on June 30th, we can't pay for substance use treatment out of the mental health fund. It's illegal for us to do it.
The funding, basically, you have 2 silos.
Yeah.
Substance abuse
And
funds.
so they're combining that, and they're combining the federal dollars, which I think is a good thing, right? That will serve people better. But the rest of it, HHS thought that there was too much duplication of administration. There are 11 MHDS regions. There are 19 service areas for substance use. And so they wanted to collapse that down into 7. And instead of 7 administrators, they picked 1. Who will be hiring district level people, right? I don't want to leave that out. The ASO will be hiring district level people. So between the disability access point and the physical locations and people that we can afford with our funding, and it's not just, afford with the funding, it's also the scope of the work. We're no longer administering the system. I've got 6 staff right now, that's probably a little bit modest, who process claims. If our total claims for the year is gonna be under 500,000, I don't need 6 people to do that, right? So the scope is different, not just the money, but the scope is different. We're providing service coordination. I need service coordinators. The ASO also needs people. And there'll be a district manager, there will be something that they're calling service navigators, which are similar, but more short-term, working with people. For all I know right now, the ASO might be planning to have a service navigator located in Benton County, right? I don't know that,
We don't know.
right?
And it's not an automatic scoop. I mean, they have to put it out, they'll put it out on their website and somebody will have to apply. And so it's not an automatic, Sarah works for Benton, we want somebody there, we're gonna come in and scoop her up. So it's, I mean, just know that it's not an automatic pickup.
I foresee a lot of budget amendments coming fiscal year
I know, I'm really
26.
sorry.
It is, I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is, yeah. Till we know, we don't know how
Yeah.
to budget.
Yep. It's, in some cases, like 6 months of knowing that we are not the ASO doesn't seem like enough time. And it's, in some cases, because the anguish that we've been through, right? 6 months seems like too much time. So this has been a really, really difficult walk.
Well, it seems like it's a typical program the government puts out where they throw out the idea and then try to build it as they go, instead of developing it and then say, this is it, let's go, everybody knows.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they kick the can down the road so long that the funding's run out and everybody's forgot about it and it goes away. It's pretty typical.
Obviously, appropriations season, I think yesterday the Senate passed the education growth, and so I think the House is going to take it up today. Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, the House is going to take it up today. Once they get that passed, then the state legislature will start working on the budget, right? So it's going to be approps. MHDS funding, the state allocation is a standing approach. It will take a whole new bill to change that. So that funding is there, it's just who's managing it and where the priorities are will likely change.
Any other questions? It's a lot to unpack.
It is. So I want to thank you for giving me the time this morning. Thanks for your support over the years. Ron is still on the Regional Governing Board for 3 more months, and so we'll keep you informed about what's going to happen.
We don't know if they're even gonna, District 6 gonna have a board.
District 7.
Di-
Oh, District 6.
District 6. We're in 6, you'll be
Yeah,
in
yeah,
7.
right. We do know that.
Okay.
CICS will have a board. I don't know the makeup of it. I don't know the long-term plan. I know the short-term plan is it's their same board. And then all the counties in District 6, I believe, will be invited to participate in a 2080. So all of that's still coming. We're all trying to figure out how we're amending our 2080s and what the board representation looks like. But the short-term CICS is, I believe, keeping their same board. Familiarity, culture. The contract was awarded to that agency, that type of thing.
We're familiar with everything going east.
I know, right?
Now
So
we're
you're gonna-
gonna have to get familiar going
South.
southeast.
And north. Right, I mean, because.
I think we're about the north of the
It's-
District
I was thinking there
6.
was one more.
Mm-mm.
No,
I
okay,
think
Benton is the north, okay, northernmost,
We're the odd county.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah, because remember,
So
it used to have the
south
running
and
joke
east.
of like, why didn't they just go straight
Yeah.
across? Why did they put
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
county like in between? Because we wrap around.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, we're kinda like,
Bring the map with me today.
in your district now, we're kinda like Bremer County,
Right,
where they're the,
yeah.
The arch.
Well, thanks, May, for
All right.
the update.
Thank you guys for listening to my emotional moment. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Deb has been awesome too.
I know.
I know, it's just,
A few days I have to talk Deb off the ledge.
I know.
Mostly related to statewide questions, but.
Well, but she's
yeah.
been like,
She's
she
done
takes the
great
time
job
for
supporting.
individual counties to help us understand it too. So we're very grateful.
Appreciate that, Haley, thanks.
See you later. Sorry, Myron, I didn't time that very well.
I appreciate you putting it on the agenda for me after chaotic yesterday morning.
I hear ya.
I must have missed it. What's he on for?
Number 15, I amended the agenda, so you probably have the old.
Discuss set price for dust control.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Oh,
I thought I put an amended one in the folder, but.
I did, but I.
Oh,
Well,
you
I
used the
printed.
one, yeah. Look at your new one.
Yep, you did.
there it is.
9:50, you're next. Right on time. We're approaching that magical date this week in April when we had a major snowstorm a number of years ago that seems to be a date where we at Secondary Road still use as kind of a winter to spring transition period.
We got past that date, we're good.
Yes. Although the weather pattern certainly looks like you could have started that a week ago or two, but things can happen. But with spring comes dust control. For those, Ron's probably familiar with it, Bruce, you've probably driven over it, but Benton County tradition, over the years, has offered a dust control program that is applied by Secondary Roads personnel. It uses a distributor, asphalt distributor truck, puts down a asphalt looking product that looks like a seal coat, but is at a very light application rate that's intended just as dust control, basically for a season. In some locations, depending on traffic and weather, it might last an additional year, but it's really applied just as dust control like other contractors apply other products. A few years ago, and probably annually, the question comes up as to whether or not Benton County Secondary Roads should continue to offer that service or not. The equipment's aging, you know, there's gonna be a point here, probably in the very near future, where some of that's gonna have to be replaced, updated, and it might be a stronger question than it is today, but, I would throw that question out, included with our discussion. What I have given to you is a sheet of paper that shows you our cost for doing 400 feet of our product in front of residents, capturing what I think over the years is pretty darn close to everything that goes into our application. Last year, we were charging $1,500 for the first 400 feet. The asphalt product that we purchased, the price this year is the same as last year. The limestone chips that we put over top of them went up 5% from last year to this year, and obviously our labor costs have gone up from last year to this year. At least from an hourly pay, what I include in all of my labor cost is all of the county's expense, your contribution to their health insurance, your contribution to other withholdings that are on each employee's payroll packet. And what either the DOT, the industry, or even some of our own estimating on an hourly cost for the equipment that we use. Some people like to do more than 400 feet of dust control. Once you're there, part of your expense is just getting all your guys and equipment there. So a lot of it's just material costs to do additional. $260 is what I figured to do another 100 feet at a location, or $2.60 a foot. We have ask that nobody break that down into less than 50-foot increments, just because it gets to be a real administrative pain in the butt. So what I'm here today is, if you want to continue secondary roads offering dust control to the general public in Benton County, that $1,550 is what I would tell you is what it's gonna cost to do the first 400 feet. $260 would be, or $2.60 would be the additional footage. Beyond that, we do look at 400 feet as a minimum, just you're getting everything there at those places. In the past, we have opened up the application around the 15th of April and run it through early May, using Fridays, Mondays, or whatever, and getting all of the admin stuff done in our office, you know. If you set the price today, you know, next week through May 2nd would be my suggested dates. And then we can start putting our maps together and getting maintainer operators that information so they can prep everything. All of them take a little extra work to get prepped, regardless of whether it's secondary roads or a private contractor. A lot of times we end up needing to go back on ours and prepping them just a little bit differently than you do with chloride and tree sap that other applicators offer in the county also.
So people can hire someone else other than secondary roads to do it?
Correct. Yeah, there are a handful of contractors that perform dust control with different products in the county that other rural residents have contacted and asked for that service.
Permits have to be issued for that, or?
We do that through our office, and a lot of those contractors will work with us in doing a lot of that permit application themselves, and then giving us a list of who those,
Who they've contracted with?
yeah, who those individuals are with their address.
Want to give them a head count, how many you do?
Last year we did secondary roads, just Quincy did look at that because I was running through there, 140, I think, last year is the number of different sites that we went to.
And a
I tried,
minimum of 400 foot.
yeah. I figure my price or our cost based on some averages, so that the rural resident that lives a half mile outside of Benton isn't treated better or worse than the individual lives a mile outside of Belle Plaine. You know, all of the equipment is housed here in Benton. And so I look at it as, what can we get done in a day, you know? Some days we get a little bit more done because of where we're located or how dense the areas are, and then you get spread out and you don't get as much done. So I feel this $1,550 today, and how I figured it in the past, is capturing our average cost and how long it takes us when we start it and when we get done with it. I do it in 2 application process. We put down 2,500 hundredths of a gallon per square yard total. We like to do 1,500 hundredths on the first application, and then we do 1/10 on the second one. But that way, it isn't too heavy that it's running off the road and sitting there too long. We put the chips on there to help blot that, because it's a hot liquid product that, as it cools off, sets up, but trying to avoid as much splatter damage that can be done to the vehicles that travel through there. We do put up a sign that says fresh oil on each end of it to forewarn people when they are coming upon it. And the product, or our process, I believe, has worked. Lane County used to offer the same type of program. I believe they discontinued that here just a couple years ago and do no longer offer their equipment to Lynn County residents as a dust control product.
So of your equipment is, some of these, is this specific, it's all it's used for?
The distributor truck
Distributor truck?
would be dust control and seal coats. I mean, it's an asphalt distributor, so it's the same distributing truck that we use to put down the seal coat product when we've needed to do maintenance or reapply seal coat.
So-
Other than that,
Tanker
We're-
trailer?
the tanker trailer is utilizing the supplier of the material, coming over with a tanker truck and just sitting here and waiting until we draw it all off versus pumping it off into a tanker at our place and taking off of that. They charge $150 per hour for that man and that truck to set. They give you an hour if you were to pump it off, but a lot of times we're having them set between 4 and 6 hours, so, but it's a time saving, from moving a old tanker that we have out at our place, but probably should just, sell or remove, cause it's got 4 tires, it isn't working today like it did 20 years ago, but that distributor truck is a 1985 chassis. Is it older, newer than that? I can't remember, but it's a stainless steel tank. Has, gone through the heat. We're limited to just doing basically a 12-foot pass. Newer equipment offers a lot more opportunities possibly in the future, but it's a specialized piece of equipment. It's kind of like your motor grader, so to speak. It's not gonna be an inexpensive truck. Now, all of the tandem trucks are the same trucks that we use for snow plowing in the wintertime, hauling rock, other times of the year. So the distributor truck is really the only specialized piece during our dust control. But it does have seal coating uses that we have seal coat miles and we are able to address them ourselves. But there's certainly a number of contractors out there that could provide that service on our seal coats too.
How do you compare for price? Versus a contractor doing it?
A contractor's gonna do it for profit.
Sure.
This is our break-even cost.
Yep.
Now, there is some speed sometimes, I've got a newer workforce, so to speak, now than I've had in the past, so those that have been involved with dust control haven't done it as much as those in the past, as well as seal coat, but we're still capable of doing it, and we still can get it done in a timely manner, but there's probably been times where we have done it possibly a little quicker. Not a lot, but.
As the county engineer, what is your personal opinion? Should we continue this program? Should we discontinue this program? Should we continue it until the truck is no longer the one piece of dedicated equipment? Should we continue until that piece of equipment is no longer serviceable, usable to do this? I have never had dust control put anywhere in my life. I have not a clue.
I know those that have, those rural residents that have utilized secondary roads dust control and either chose to try another product because there's typically been a significant price difference, although even lignin and tree sap has gone up quite a bit here in the last year and a half, I think I've been told, versus chloride treatments. I know calcium chloride and mag chloride are another material mixed with water is what's put down for dust control on limestone rocks. That there's a noticeable difference. Some of the other dust control products are weather impacted. The other products alleviate dust control. This being just about a seal coat type looking surface, it pretty much eliminates dust. So you have virtually no limestone cloud in front of your house versus a mild limestone cloud in front of your house. And so you have a number of Benton County rural residents that if they tried something else, they're back at our door wanting to do this. And they will not be happy when it disappears, which I think it will in the future, but I'm not gonna tell you today that I'm comfortable with our distributor truck. It's had its issues here and there, but I think it's going to be ready to go and could be used. You know, is it a year by year basis, Ron? I don't know. I mean, I will say that there's a fair amount of headaches that go with this dust control, and headaches being there are far too many people, in my opinion, that don't appreciate what it does. I just hear the negative aspect of it. And I can't get it done quick enough. You charge too much for it. It ought to be free. And you know, and it goes with everything, but it is a product, you know, that secondary roads or Benton County doesn't have to offer. But there seems to be a fair amount of people that feel it's an expectation that they should be morally, very heavily entitled to.
I think that the equipment still works. When the season's over, if it quit working, then at that point say, you know what, we can't afford to replace it. But as long as we got something that works, and that way they'll have more time to decide what they're gonna do next, and be unhappy and complain. Somebody else have to hear it.
I'm all for it.
Okay?
I know many years ago, the Board of Supervisors had some select roads because of county parks, some other things that they felt the county ought to subsidize, and then they changed that approach one given year, and it's been, if you want it, you pay 100% for it. And now that I have two new supervisors, I guess I wanted to certainly discuss this before I've always brought it here and asked the board to set the price. I've made the recommendation, but I also wanted to make sure that you, Bruce, and Ron's kind of been around, but are fully aware what we provide and whether you feel we should continue that. Like I say, there's probably some admin costs that aren't fully captured here, but we don't charge for private permits for the other ones, so you're probably offering the same administrative cost out of our department for the others as we are for this.
How do your prices that you've got here, or maybe these are, how do they compare to what FEMA allows? Or is that what these are?
I think the motor grader per hour that you see on that sheet is exactly what FEMA has on their 2023 equipment sheet. I think their tandem trucks are fairly close. The distributor's kind of a specialized piece of equipment, and that might be actually low as to what contractors might be charging for theirs right now. But I'd say that's very close. I know, I don't know, 20 years ago, I think I threw that pretty strongly about considering getting out of this. And a contractor came and was looking things over and looking at our costs, and I'm pretty sure they were gonna be, if I recall right, 50 to 60% higher to do the same type of service. Now, they were gonna use a chip spreader, I think, to go around to spread those. We have one of those, but that's used, we use that for seal coating purposes. For this dust control, it doesn't need to be placed that heavily and doesn't, we've succeeded at spreading it with the same winter spreader that we spread sand with, to spread those chips on there. And we reduced the cost of getting those chips spread across there. Otherwise, you add another piece of equipment and some added expense.
It usually takes you about a week, 10 days to get them all done, right? 5 working days, 5, 7. Weather permitting, don't it?
Yeah, per application,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you do it twice.
You do it twice.
Yeah.
And it's terrible stuff to clean up afterwards, so there's some time that needs to be spent by personnel to clean it off the distributor truck. And unfortunately, when you're the first one through it, it picks up on our trucks, and those need to be cleaned up also. So there's some added time and expense figured in there that just goes with this.
Where's I go with the recommendation?
I agree with that.
I'll make a motion, we'll go with, the new price, $50 higher than last year, $15.50 for 400 foot. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
There you go.
Okay.
You said from April 14th through May 2nd.
Want to give them an extra week. I know I've had 3 calls personally, and I told them to call Deb.
We've had at least that many daily in the last
Okay.
week.
I figured it was coming on.
Okay. I'll be back in 2.
Okay,
Probably that many calls and just about that much foot traffic, so.
okay. Well, like I said, I had 3 people call me about it, and I said, well, good question, because I said, he usually brings it to the board and we set the price. And I said, he hasn't done that yet.
Hey, Myron, sometime can I visit with you about 22nd Street down by the dairy?
Yep.
I'm getting a lot of questions about that place.
They were hauling that vicinity gravel. I don't
It's just-
remember,
that
last
is-
Wednesday.
The equipment that the dairy uses, that road was just never designed for that type of use. I don't think that's,
No,
I'm sure you've gotten some stuff on that too. But
there are some areas that need to be possibly addressed differently here in the near future, and trying to figure out what might be best and when, and outside of saying that's what I'm working on, it's, it can't all happen overnight.
yeah, no, and I drove it the other day and I thought, maybe they just need a crossing. That's the only place they can go, and then figure out someplace on their own property for the rest of it, but that equipment is huge. and heavy.
Last year, there was a lot of construction going on around that facility.
Plus they're
that,
building that containment or.
That digester,
Yeah.
that's all done, I think, but,
Yeah. But the
that
semis
and
that
a
haul it
lot.
out, they're all, that's a mess there. But I looked at that and I thought, yeah, other than pouring it like a runway where it's 4 foot deep, I don't know how you're gonna keep that from, I don't know, that's a, maybe they're, well, I don't know if even the owners would be willing to work cost share some of it too. That was a rumor. Cause I know they,
I think everybody needs to know what a total cost would be before
Yeah.
they fully say that. I
Yeah.
would tell you that I have been contacted by them
Okay.
and would like to hear what thoughts and costs would be involved. So I'm trying to do that and a few others that I think you've heard from maybe in the county. It just, it all takes time.
oh, yeah, well, that's understandable, but yeah, that's kind of. Quite a place.
Text about the lights at the Blairstown corner. What's happening? I know the state give you the okay, right, for the light.
I stuck a flag down there last week where I'm thinking about putting a light and working with REC and a contractor to put that light up for the intersection light. And, I've looking at the quote I got from a flashing beacon. I wanted him to rework that up, based on looking at it and understanding it. And then there's been another vendor who's heard about that has asked for some, asked to offer a price also. So that would be for the stop sign.
Yeah.
So that could all be done on or about the same time?
The light then that you're talking about, you're gonna use that pole that you got laying out there?
No, that pole I got laying out there's got some problems.
It does.
But I've got a used pole found
Okay.
by a contractor, so it's not a full new cost.
That'd be a steel one then, that hangs over, instead of a wood?
Mhm.
Awesome. Good. Well, I know, like you said, I got a text this morning, wanted to know what's going on,
Mhm.
so I said I would ask you. The two other things I don't really want to discuss
Mhm.
during the meeting, I will see you sometime today. if you're
Okay.
in your office.
I know last week or the other week, I'm hoping that maybe next week when I'm at the conference in Illinois, but that mumble strip that South Dakota DOT has as a standard that the Iowa DOT tried to utilize on Highway 18 up in Britt, that was ground in on concrete. I think the DOT is trying to determine how much sound there is outside. From inside a vehicle, it feels kind of similar to the regular rumble strips, but my question was how much sound is there? But I'm hoping there might be some county engineers from South Dakota next week that I might be able to inquire if they have, how many they have in South Dakota, if they've driven on them, and how much noise is reduced from the traffic outside, around them.
All right.
That's good.
Dick requested that his road be done first.
Of course he did.
He also requested it be the only one if they said no.
And he wants an employee discount.
Yep, he wanted that
I'll
every
hear
year.
that, oh yeah.
Well,
I'd go out that way.
oh, yeah.
All right. So you have to do my auditor's quarterly report yet,
Yeah. And the sheriff.
and the liquor
Which one's
license.
it? Yeah.
Okay, just making sure you're on track.
I guess we did not actually vote on the sheriff's, report, did we? We crossed it off, we didn't.
Nope.
So can I get a motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report?
I would make the motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report as
Second.
presented.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Team and I.
Bulls eye.
Let's see, you want that folded in a certain way?
I got them ready for you, so,
Cool.
in my oven right there.
Okay. This is girl, we've got her done. Perfect. All right.
So I just initial this is all?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, now we'll go to the auditors.
So much revenue brought in.
Yep. Enough to buy donuts. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the auditor's quarterly report?
I'll make the motion to approve the auditor's quarterly report.
I would second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Team and I.
Bulls eye.
And last and not least, the
Liquor.
alcohol permit.
Yep.
Bloomsbury.
You'll just have to initial it on that.
That's just renewing the one that they had?
Yeah, this one's a yearly one.
Oh. I haven't had any problems, so.
So, 12 months.
I'd make a motion to approve the Class C retail alcohol license for Bloomsbury Farm.
Yeah, you got it.
Yep.
Okay, then usually we say the date when it starts.
Okay. This is from April 30th till April 29th, April 30th, 2025 till April 29th, 2026.
Can I get a second on that one?
I would second that.
Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Team and I.
Bulls eye.
Oh, yeah, you signed it on here. Now go to Haley.
Oh, now the fun one.
14.
I was hoping we were getting done, because I can't go to the restroom pretty soon. All right. Tabled action on March 25th, award a quote for updating Benton County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation. Did you guys do any calling or anything?
I didn't call, but I looked, is that a 500 and some page document, that hazard mitigation?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Wow,
big.
that was,
Yep.
I couldn't believe that when I was reading through
I
that.
usually don't hand that out freely. I mean, it's like,
Don't blame me.
you'd almost have to zip the file to email it to.
Yeah, that's huge.
Did you do any calling?
I've called nobody.
Okay.
I did talk to Dean a little bit more yesterday again, because I noticed that last one, the Atchison Consulting, they gave us two different approach, but the difference was they were do the training in addition, but Dean does our own training, so I was just pointing that out. There was two different amounts on that one.
Yes. Well, I spent the morning on the phone yesterday. The Two Rivers, Gene has actually been working with them right now. Yes, their main office is in Texas, but the man that he works with is out of Des Moines.
Oh.
So he's got a bid for $24,000, the company does. Now, I was kinda leaning towards this Robin Reese from Anamosa. I did call her,
Was it 4 counties that she had the references?
yes, and I called a couple of them. They all were satisfied. She got everything done in time, and it got passed by FEMA when she got, did it, everything. Everything went through the first time going through FEMA. Now, what they said is the only, not drawback, but one of the things why she's cheaper is she has, you would say that like the county employees look up the information that she needs that's current. So in other words, she would have Dean looking up some of the information for her. She would have the assessor looking up some of the information. And then 90% of it is gonna be you, the
I know.
auditor's office,
So we're doing the work for her.
more or less.
The last one when we had, just the updated, we had our ground already prepared, so that wasn't horrible. Like, a lot of it was through our GIS mapping database. We'd bring in stuff, cause it was Steve Meyer, I think, last
Right,
time. So,
correct.
but we did help a lot with that one.
Yeah, so to me, that was the only small drawback, but, for $8,000 savings. I was kinda leaning towards her, like I said, I was just kinda hoping I could find somebody that she used for reference, of course, you're.
Oh, I think it was Jones County that said they would not go with that one.
Oh, really?
Yep,
Didn't you say that her own county didn't
yep.
hire her?
And
Okay, yeah, Jones County, I talked to them.
I thought it was Jones, or maybe it was, let me look at what Dean said.
Okay.
She had Fayette.
But now they're with Two Rivers.
Mhm. When Dean said that Two Rivers gentleman was always stationed in Iowa, but then he went out on his own and got merged in with that company.
Okay.
So that's partly why it's out of state, even though he's in Des Moines.
And he's still located in Des Moines?
Mhm.
Yes, lives in Des Moines, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean,
And Jones County did say that Two Rivers did a fantastic job.
And they handle everything,
Mhm.
they don't utilize any of our employees for
We don't touch it.
they will to a certain extent.
Well, we have to give them like access to some of our data layers and things like that. Buildings, they're gonna have to get, because depending on what they put in and update from what we had 5 years ago.
I see. And this is every 5 years, or this is
Every 5 years. Because the biggest thing that, I even called Scott Hansen yesterday, I thought the big savings would be that we're not playing with doing Arnold no more.
Yeah.
He says, he kinda laughed, he says, that's about a 3-inch paragraph in that 500-page,
That's all it is.
that's all it is. So I was shocked at that.
I was shocked at the information that was in that thing that they actually look at.
Talk about detail.
Man, I thought, wow,
I mean, the baseline obviously is already there for them. It's just tweaking where we need to change or add.
Well, that's what I was wondering when I was going through that, is how many changes do they have to make? Just dates, but a lot of the information is gonna remain the same.
Most of the things has not changed. The only thing, this gal, Robin Reese, told me that there is 3 different things, and I don't even wanna quote them right now, that has changed with FEMA for different reporting.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Go figure they'd wanna make changes there.
Which, yeah, and that, we've had enough FEMA projects lately. They do make changes quite often.
So I guess that's what, I was kinda leaning on this Robin Reese. I'm just throwing that out there. You guys wanna go? I know Dean suggested the Two Rivers, the gentleman from Des Moines.
There's $8,000 difference.
Yes.
I like the idea of the more local person myself.
That's the way I feel.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For $8,500, how many hours is that gonna be to the local employees? I mean, is it, let's say it's $100 an hour if we do it ourselves, that's 85 hours. Are we gonna, between the 2 or 3 people that, from the county here, how many hours would they have to do to work for this lady rather than the person from Two Rivers? Just one way of thinking about it. I mean, personnel, I mean, yes, $8,500 cheaper, but with the labor, I mean, how many hours would you have to spend on that? Do you have any idea?
I wouldn't until I started requesting data, probably.
Yeah. I mean, just a thought, an angle.
That's what I was going through too in my mind, and especially with the auditor's office, having a lead person retiring here is gonna also put them in a bind.
Most of it would be due to like the buildings, the mapping.
Yeah, and see, a lot of that hasn't really changed too much.
Right, I mean, they're gonna have to do their FEMA standards, that kind of stuff, but I don't know until we dive into it,
Yeah,
probably
see,
what it
I-
would entail.
Cause she said not so much out of the assessor, but she still has to get some information from him. You would be the main one, your office would be the main one to get the information from.
And we probably already have it,
Yes.
so, I mean,
Yes.
Is it
I'm
that
guessing-
readily available, or is this gonna take a lot of research?
No, everything would be up to date, what she told me. Because even the gentleman from Des Moines would still have to talk to her to get that information too. Or get access to the county website, which she's
right,
on.
they look at like ordinances and different things.
Yeah.
Which I have our code of ordinances all updated, because we just did that last year, so. Honestly, I don't know, I mean, I'm all for saving money as well, but hopefully it's not.
It'll turn into a 6-month deal.
I mean, I don't know what the time frame is that we have to have it done, I know it's not gonna start, but maybe she'd start sending me stuff that we could compile as we
Yeah,
have
see,
time.
that, there again, I should have contacted Dean when this actually has to be started.
Well, it's not
and done.
budgeted until 26,
Okay,
but
oh, then you got plenty of time then.
that's what I mean, I would hope if it's time consuming, she would send us a list now, maybe let us
Okay.
start compiling as we have downtime,
Okay,
if we have downtime, but, you know,
yeah,
just
I
saying.
understand that.
Yeah,
Well, see, I was more worried about that, this was gonna start here right away, and, you know, in May, we lose somebody, and your office does, and I thought, that was the only drawback that I had against this individual, your office.
but I have John too, who's good with real estate, he used to be in the assessor's office as well, so, I mean, I'm sure we can handle it.
Cause
It's
I would
just
think
how
everything you gotta
timely.
look up should be on the computer. It ain't like you gotta go
Right.
flipping through pages or files or,
Be handy if we get Dean to just call us right now and tell us the date.
Well, he's out of town for some training today.
Yeah.
His district meeting.
Otherwise, he could call us.
Well, I can look at when the other one expires.
I was trying to find that.
It is,
I'm on board for saving money if he thinks that her office is not gonna be burdened too much by it. Anybody local?
The remainder of this year, we do not have a big election.
right, that's what I mean, this is a good time to do it if we're gonna do it, so, I mean,
So work-wise, it's probably as good as it's gonna get for Haley's office.
we always get dumped on anyway, we're used to it, I guess.
If it was an election year,
Let me look for a date. I mean, you guys do. Don't worry about me per se, I mean, it's my job too.
I know, but like I said, I don't wanna dump a whole bunch of work on you that.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what that workload would be until we get diving in, so I really can't say one way or the other. We did have a committee, the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation committee, planning committee at one point. So I don't know if we also would probably have to update that, because it's listing out Like the city event coordinator, an old supervisor, all that, so, okay, some of those names would just all have to be put into effect.
Because when it comes to the city, she would contact the city administrators.
That's what I think,
Not
she would
you.
have to go to different
Yeah.
entities, not just me.
Right, right, but I'm just worried about you, is what I'm worried about your office.
Well, I appreciate that. But at this point in time, we do need to worry about saving money too, so.
That's what I'm looking at.
So I will do my best to help us save money.
Okay. So what do you think, boys?
I would make the motion to go with,
Robin Reese
Robin Reese.
for $16,642.
Do you want me to read those all out that we got too, since I'll put them in the minutes?
Yep, they're all
Please.
right there.
Okay, so quotes received were as follows. Blue Umbrella LLC for $36,500. MCM Consulting Group, $87,510. Two Rivers Emergency Management, $24,000. The Atchison Consulting Service, and that's the one that had those two different approaches. First one was $27,200, with the one including the training was $36,160. And then the lowest was Emergency Planning and Consulting LLC for $16,642. And I think we put 60 grand in the 26 budget, so if we know what we're going with, give or take a little, we can probably reduce that now.
Okay,
I mean, it's been published high, but we can go back in and reduce that,
okay.
so.
Make a note of that. We'll take care of that at the next meeting after this.
Yep, I'll do that right now.
So he made a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I will call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Vols aye.
That one's done, 9:45.
Well,
Okay.
I shot that out the door today, didn't I, with all the things?
Who knew?
About the time I would have said our meeting was at 10:30, we'd be sitting here twiddling thumbs, so.
Okay. Budget work, we're gonna do that right after that. Reports, quick.
I didn't have any last week.
I had a Zoom meeting with, what was it? What was last, ECIC?
AC Cog,
Yeah. At 1:30. And it was, went through a lot of information and such, but
Okay. You have, I have none either. Nothing we're talking about.
My next one is 7 o'clock Friday morning with the health, county health.
and we have Thursday night for
Thursday.
Farm
Thursday
Bureau.
night.
Tuesday night, Farm
Yes.
Bureau.
I did post that already, so we didn't forget, and it is 7 o'clock, not 6, like when we've gone before for the meals.
Okay, because I put 7 in my book.
Okay,
Ooh, 7 o'clock, huh?
do you know where that is, Bruce?
No.
It's kind of over by the new Dollar Tree,
Right across the road,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
right across the road. Brick building,
Very good.
you park all the way around it, except on the street side. That's 7 o'clock. Okay,
Yeah, I got 7. I had to get blood at 5, hopefully I won't pass out.
reports was done, budget,
This-
we're gonna work on that
Well,
after a while.
you need to act on the BDG one in a meeting, because that's where I have to fill out that form, how
Oh,
we've acted
okay.
on them in the past.
Do you have that? I thought you had it somewhere listed.
I do, under budget work,
16.
Yep, yep,
Oh,
yep, yep. Okay,
because they were in on February 11th.
yep.
If you want to pass him that, because that's where we fill out that bottom work. That's the only one out of those other ones
And
that
I
we have.
did talk to Kate about it, so she knows already. Wasn't really shocked. She understands, but the Benton Development Group has asked, and we have been giving them $100,000 every year. to support them. This year, we kinda talked on our subcommittees or whatever you wanna call it, and we kinda come to a figure of 80,000 we'll let them have this year. So can I have a motion to
Oh,
approve?
I would make the motion to approve the Benton Development Group for 80,000.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bulls eye.
Give that back to Haley. Okay. Now, since you've been sitting for umpteen hours,
I just basically have one thing, I think, Ron, you asked about prices with the dust control, and this isn't even apples to apples, but my wife and I, we do the cemetery at Brandon, and we checked into getting some chloride on, it's a gravel road in front. Last year when I was mowing, a couple times I had to wear a mask, my brother-in-law mowing it, so the dust is so bad because there's something. But anyway, the quote that I got was like 85 cents a foot. That is for chloride, that is not even close to what you're having, that your, your roads guys doing, so. I thought you mentioned that you wanted an idea of just the price or something, but,
Yeah, I didn't know if it was,
yeah.
if we were out of the ballpark or what, but
And I've done chloride, the crystals myself, and spread that with my spreader, but that doesn't last. So this stuff would be great, I mean,
Nothing lasts as good as this stuff.
no, so. That's all I've got,
the
otherwise,
biggest thing we have, the problem with, we have a lot of, not to be picking on elderly people that do it, and they don't read the fine print when they sign the contract. They are supposed to maintain that in front of their property. You know what I mean? Potholes, when they start forming, they're supposed to fill them up and
yeah,
put something in it, and they don't.
Nobody does.
And that,
yeah.
No pain in
it
the.
says it right in the contract when they sign their name to it, when they write the check.
But you got what, 140, you said that did it last year, that's a lot of people.
That is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's not,
And like I
it's
said,
not
the
outrageous.
ones that do it, they would be really upset if we quit. I know that for a fact.
Well,
They'll be
one
really
of
expensive to buy
them's
a new
out in
truck.
Holloway.
Yeah, yeah,
I thought I was gonna be leaving here at 10 o'clock, but,
me too.
all right. You guys have a good week?
You
Yeah.
too.
You're done.
Thanks.
Motion adjourned.
Take care.
I'll make the motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Bathroom call.